All right, folks, let's take a look at Adrian Peterson because he is still looking for that next team out there. Currently a free agent, Tom, and he's 33 years old. There's another guy named LeBron James who's 33, Tom.
Different sport, so good try. This is the age, he's actually past the age where most NFL halfbacks, they just don't have it anymore. When they get to around 30, they hit that wall and the production flies off a cliff in an instant there. So Adrian Peterson, I do think it's a fair question if he actually has much left in the tank. Now, he says he does, and I know he's in good shape. That's different than being a good NFL running back. So I think the reality for Peterson, he's going to have to wait until there's a big injury, and then maybe we'll reevaluate what his future looks like.
All right, so let's take a look at some of the honorable mentions here. We've got the Cowboys, Panthers, Dolphins, Steelers, and Buffalo Bills. Let's talk Cowboys, the Texas connection.
Every year, it's an Adrian Peterson to Dallas rumor, and it started from ESPN this year because Bill Barnwell said, oh, he's the best landing spot. It doesn't really make sense for Dallas, I don't think. First off, Zeke is going to get almost all the touches. Tavon Austin's going to be your number 3 back in a receiver hybrid role. And Rodson was a really good player for them last year. Does Adrian Peterson want to be a backup halfback? No, he doesn't.
He's got an ego.
And all these teams he's mentioned, except for maybe Carolina, which he also mentioned, all these teams he's mentioned, he thinks he's the best halfback on the roster. That's why he wants to go there. Yeah. That's why.
You know that meme?
Peterson wants to be the guy, even though he's not anymore.
That meme/gif of the guy who goes like this with the question marks around him. That's me right now.
Yeah, that's we'll go through them all here. I see a comment from Daniel Connor says AP is washed up.
He's right.
I mean, yeah, he was actually pretty bad last year. He was a below replacement level halfback. So I think it's a fair point to make. And Adrian Peterson, without doubt, is one of the greatest halfbacks in NFL history.
NFL MVP.
But current Adrian Peterson, not the same guy. Now, maybe he kind of gets a reemerge with some better blocking up front, but he wasn't good with the Saints, and he wasn't that good with Arizona outside of a couple good games. He just was, if he didn't score TDs, he was useless overall.
I wonder if he and Des Bryant chat up each other and just text each other and be like, hey, you still unsigned? Yup.
Here's a quick comment I want to make note because this is a good segue. Ryan Stone says he's not washed up, he just needs a lesser role. Adrian Peterson offers nothing in the passing game and nothing on special teams. So what is that lesser role going to be? Like just shorter amount of carries? And are you going to bring in Peterson for 5 carries a game to be a backup? And does Peterson want that?
Well, I think it comes down to ego. Like I mentioned it briefly here, that if he understands that he is no longer a bell cow 3-down running back, then he can find interest out there on the open market. Now, it all comes down to his mentality on this. And when we go through our top 5 teams here, a lot of these teams, really, Tom, are just for depth.
Yeah.
That's the reality of the situation.
Yeah, and maybe an injury then is something becomes a little bit more important there. So.
All right, folks, so you're watching NFL Daily here, presented by Man Crates, and Tom Downey's alongside me, Cam Rogers, here on Chat Sports Facebook Live. Once again, we are presented by Man Crates. Do you know an awesome guy who needs a gift? At Man Crates, gifts are carefully curated like a museum, but actually exciting. They've got personalized barware, jerky grams, and project kits to delight any guy out there. Mancrates.com, awesome gifts that guys love, sponsoring NFL Daily today.
Father's Day is coming up, so don't waste your time trying to find the perfect gift. Just go to mancrates.com, and they've got it for you. You can even drop into the lady in your life and end up with a man crate of your own.
All right, folks, so we're rolling along here with Adrian Peterson. Let's take a look at the top 5 teams. We'll start things off with the Green Bay Packers, and Adrian says he likes it.
Well, because I think there's always been that little connection there between Green Bay and to Adrian Peterson, even though I don't think it actually makes a whole lot of sense overall. Because the Packers, I think, are fine at halfback, Cam. Aaron Jones, Jamal, and Ty Montgomery, that's a pretty good trio. Now, it's not a true #1 featured back like Peterson was in his prime, but I don't know how much left to give Peterson as. And I don't know if you put, honestly, I think if you put those guys up there, Peterson is the 4th back. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense for Green Bay to do that then.
You got an argument. I mean, they saw something in Aaron Jones last year, right?
Saw something in Jamal, at least I did. Of course, he's not quite as dynamic. And Ty Montgomery can do a lot of different things for you as a player.
So Adrian Peterson, if he decides to go to the Green Bay Packers, would perhaps be number 4 on the depth chart, something he'd have to realize. So we'll see if that happens. Now, just in terms of a philosophical question for everybody watching out there, in today's Man Crates question. We want you guys weighing in. Can Adrian Peterson be a starting running back anymore? Anybody holding out hope in the Man Crates question of the day?
I mean, I guess if there are injuries. Like, look at some teams that if somebody gets hurt, then yes, Peterson can be a starting back, but he's definitely not a top 32 back anymore in the NFL. I have no doubts about that one.
All right, guys, let us know in the comment section here on Facebook Live as well as YouTube, and we'll be tracking what you guys say, of course.
I'm curious what kind of comments here. James says absolutely bot. I'm pretty sure he needs not.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yep, that's definitely no. All right, let's go to number 4 here on the list. We've got the New Orleans Saints. And for New Orleans, perhaps a reunion of sorts. You got Mark Ingram suspended for 4 games. Alvin Kamara, of course, Rookie Offensive Player of the Year last season. After those 2 running backs, though, a little bit of a drop-off.
Yeah, I think the big question mark for the Saints and Peterson is, do they want to have a little mini reunion? Because things did not exactly go too well for AD the last time he was in New Orleans. He didn't seem all that happy that he wasn't getting the ball much, and I mean, I get that. He wants to be the guy, even though he's probably not going to be the guy anymore. And if he does go back to New Orleans, it'll be 4 games, I would imagine, of Peterson kind of being that secondary back, splitting time with Alvin Kamara. And maybe that does work for him in that type of role. But then what happens when Mark Ingram comes back? It's the exact same thing. So does it really make a whole lot of sense at that point to try and do something? I don't really think that it does. So the intrigue is here for Adrian Peterson and the Saints because there's the familiarity there. And then as well, Cam, for whatever reason, the Saints seem to think they're fine at halfback. Mark Ingram, oh, they're fine. He's only gone for 4 games. We can get by with Daniel Lasco, Boston Scott, Williams, and Trey Edmonds, which agree to disagree there, New Orleans.
I like Edmonds. He's a spark plug a little bit.
Because you like him from Maryland.
That's a little Maryland bias there. Boston Scott, actually, you watch the tape on him, some impressive runs as well. But Adrian Peterson, back to New Orleans, I think would be, Tom, more negative headlines than anything else.
He says he'd go back.
Yeah, all right.
There you go.
We got the Houston Texans checking in here at number 3 for Adrian Peterson. And AD says it'd be a fit because, of course, you have the Houston connection, right? He's from the Houston area.
He's got ties to the area. He was just there with his football camp last week, or actually this week, excuse me. It's just, I think the big issue for Houston is that, do they really need Peterson? They have Lamar Miller, who I still like a little bit. I'm a big fan of D'Onta Foreman. If he's recovered from his injury, Peterson is now the number 3 guy on that depth chart. So if Foreman's not healthy, then it makes a little bit more sense, I think. But I don't know if Houston really needs running back. And again, I think this is an example where Peterson thinks if he goes to Houston, he's going to be a key cog in that offense, that he is going to be a focal point, and he'll at least be the number 2 who gets plenty of work. I don't know if that is actually the case.
What if I told you Lamar Miller is 27 years old, Tom? Because for me, it just feels like he runs like a 30-year-old at this point. Lamar Miller is not far from entering Adrian Peterson kind of territory in terms of his age and his production on the football field. But Foreman, yeah, I got to watch out for.
I like him a lot.
Houston could make some sense. So we got them at number 3.
That's why they're 3. And, you know, they have some other backs there as well. They did bring back Alfred Blue, and they have Tyler Irvin, which I think kind of reduces the chances that Houston goes after another back. And I actually like some of the undrafted free agents that they brought in, like Coleman. Tremaine Pope is the former Seahawks preseason star. Of course, he never became anything because a lot of those stars in preseason don't become guys. And then Terry Swanson as well. All
right, so the Houston Texans check in at number 3. Let's go to number 2 on the list. We've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So they drafted Ronald Jones. Doug Martin is no longer on that team. They have Jacquizz Rodgers there. They also have Peyton Barber, but maybe AD comes to town and makes some noise?
I think the big issue for the Bucs is that Ronald Jones, without a doubt, is the future at the halfback spot. But even he admits, and he just said this recently, I believe, that he is looking to try and improve and be more of a workhorse-type back. Now, he can do it a little bit, but can he handle the full workload of 16 games, approaching 250 carries, plus some work in the passing game? And if not, which I think it's a fair question right now, is Peyton Barber and or Jacquizz Rodgers and Charles Sims going to be enough behind Jones to be that guy? I don't mind Peyton Barber there. I just don't know if Rodgers or Sims are good enough players there.
Yeah, I mean, those 3 guys are solid. I mean, the depth chart for Tampa Bay isn't all that bad, but the more the merrier, I think, with this team to counteract the head coach, Dirk Cutter. But that's just my opinion.
Good point. Good point. I view that one as valid. Jameis Winston has said he'd like to play with Adrian Peterson.
Of course.
But it's not like Winston has the clout to go influence his franchise yet. He has to focus on, ensuring that he is actually their franchise guy, which I think there is some debate about that one. So Peterson could be a nice veteran mentor there, although I guess Jaquiz is kind of playing that role. If Rodgers gets hurt, maybe it makes more sense, but I just don't know if it makes a ton of sense for Tampa Bay as we sit right now.
All right, so with that, let's get to number 1 on the list. We have the L.A. Rams. And Tom, this is all about depth for me. After Todd Gurley,
what depth?
It is a wasteland.
I like John Kelly. I think he could be a nice player long-term for the Rams. And I love Malcolm Brown at Texas, even though he was a bit of an underachiever. But are those the guys you want getting the ball 20 times a game if Todd Gurley goes down?
No.
Absolutely not. Is Adrian Peterson the guy you want getting the ball 20 times a game? Probably not, but I'd rather have AD than those other players on that list. So if the unforeseeable happens, and God forbid Todd Gurley goes down and ruins everyone's fantasy seasons, I think Adrian Peterson makes a lot of sense for the LA Rams. To the extent that I would actually be okay if they signed him right now, because I don't think you want to go into the year with Malcolm Brown and John Kelly as backups. They kind of did that last year with Brown, and it was fine because Gurley didn't get hurt. But imagine that team last year, Cam, if Gurley goes down. They might not be that good. They are one of the few NFL teams built around, I think, their halfback.
No, I hear that. I mean, he was the Offensive Player of the Year. He was an integral part of that offense, no doubt about it. Jared Goff was pretty productive. I liked what I saw from Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp, but you're absolutely right. Todd Gurley is the engine that motors that offense.
Totally.
So if he goes down, and let's say AD is on that roster already, you better have him on your fantasy teams for a handcuff.
Yes, exactly.
That I can tell you. So
absolutely.
The LA Rams are at number 1 as the top-line team to sign Adrian Peterson in free agency. Let's take a look at the entire list here. We got the Packers, Saints, Texans, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Los Angeles Rams. So some hometown cooking with Houston, some depth there for LA. Green
Cowboys.
Bay could be a potential suitor as well. No Cowboys on the list.
And in the end, I think it's going to be an injury to a different position, maybe multiple guys since DeMarco Murray is also unsigned, until a team makes a real play for AD.